This is Alexander Constantine, and you are listening to the Dicenius Review, where we discuss novels, film, art, and culture from a perspective outside the mainstream. The Review is a Substack podcast, but you can listen to us on Spotify, YouTube, Apple, or anywhere else via RSS. If you enjoy the show, please hop on any of these platforms and like, follow, and share this episode. Well, hey, it's an afternoon in South Carolina in the Low Country. It's a beautiful, beautiful day. It's sunny, and I've already recorded one podcast this morning, and now I'm moving on to the second one. And for this one, I'm going to do things a little bit differently. Usually, I like to rant on and on for a monologue, but today I have a very important guest, and my guest is Chris. All right, Mr. Christopher Putnam himself, and he is an actual old friend of mine. And I want to introduce him, and we're going to have a conversation about some stuff that interests us. But before that, I'm going to give you a little bit of background on our relationship and the kind of stuff that inspired me to start this podcast in the first place. So, hey, how are you doing, Chris?
I'm doing outstanding. How are you, Alex?
Pretty good. We talked about the whole dog issue and all that. So, for listeners out there, I want to give you kind of a quick background on, what's going on. So Chris and I have been friends about 5-6 years now, and we met when we were both hanging around the Uncle Sam's Gun Club in California. And we started, we met with due to a mutual love, I think, of True Detective and True Detective posting on Instagram, right?
True.
And right away we started, we didn't know what to do. We're like, hey, we need to hang out, but I don't know. I'm, socially inept nowadays as an old man. So what do? We started going hiking. So Chris and I would go on these long all-day hikes all over the California mountains, usually above Santa Barbara or Ojai, California, which is beautiful country if you've never been out there. But during those long walks, we would talk philosophy and culture and sometimes politics, but mostly philosophy. And it was some of the most fascinating conversations I've had, in years. And I missed that once I moved away from Southern California. I missed our Sunday morning hikes and shit talking on Instagram girls that we saw on the trail. Do you remember that?
Oh, yeah. No, I do.
It's like every time we were coming back, there was some Insta thought, like taking, pictures at the beginning of the trail, like she's really going to go all the way to like the waterfall or something. Like, shut up. Right. So maybe 6 months ago or so, Chris and I were talking, and we came up with the idea of this podcast itself. And for whatever reason, situational and time management, Chris was not able to join me at the beginning. So I started it without him. And now I want to bring Chris in as much as possible so we can have all kinds of cool conversations like we used to on the hike. How does that sound, Chris?
Sounds outstanding. I miss it. Honestly, like those were probably some of the most valuable experiences. It's like as a man in his mid-30s, like you said, it's kind of hard and awkward to make friends. And then it's like to just be able to like leave at the crack of dawn, get some coffee, and then just talk about whatever existential issues we were having at the time. Just as like an experience that you can't really get or purchase, in today's like age.
Right. Absolutely. Because like, what do you, when you make friends with somebody at our age, what do? You go to a bar? I don't know. Like, I don't want to do that anymore. Like I'm kind of over drinking and going to bars.
Mhm.
I guess you can play sports. I've been thinking about starting to play pickleball.
Oh, that'd be cool.
I actually bought pickleball, like paddles or whatever the fuck they're called.
Mhm.
I know my previous guest Neil hates pickleball, so he's probably going to listen to this and regret coming on the podcast because he's a tennis guy. Like I love tennis, but if I can't find people to play tennis with out here, like I don't know. Have you ever been to South Carolina, Chris?
I actually have. I went to Paris Island for my brother's graduation from boot camp when I was in like eighth grade.
All
So
right.
I remember like bits and pieces of it.
Yeah. So
But
right here in South Carolina low country, what we are dealing with is a swamp that turns into a golf course. All right.
Hmm.
So about like everybody out here in the south tip of South Carolina in what's called the low country is here to golf. All right. It is golfing paradise over here. And my main problem is one, I don't golf. My other
Yeah,
main
no.
problem is I'm not rich enough to golf if I wanted to golf.
Mm.
So it's not what I do. So when I meet people, they're like, "Hey, you want to go for a golf?" Nope, I'm good, man. I'm good. I'll pass. So I guess I'll have to play pickleball instead.
No, I remember my dad. I used to like scoff at it when I was in college because my dad would go to the community college I went to at the time to play racquetball with his friends every Saturday, and I just didn't get it. And then it's like I'm scaring myself because I'm like understanding why he would do that or why he would meet up with like his friends for breakfast or do like weekly phone calls. And it's like when I was a teenager, I was like, what the hell's wrong with this guy? Why does he have to do this stuff? And then it's like as I get older, I'm like, oh, okay, I get it.
Right. It's
Because
like
it's
the fishing. Not I understand fishing now.
exactly.
Right. Not that I want to go fishing. That's my problem, right? And of course, the other problem that I'm sure you can kind of sympathize with is like when you do meet people, you get invited to
Hmm.
the grill barbecue and you walk in and they're like, "Oh, how about those Raiders?" And then I'm like, "Well, how about that Dostoevsky?" And then everybody
Yeah,
leaves me alone.
exactly.
Right? You're like, "Ah, fuck." Right? So maybe I should start watching sports, but I don't think I can. So for everybody, for listeners to you, one of the things that Chris is into, and one of the things that kind of define, who he is, he as a person, and Chris, by the way, is a Substacker. He does write on Substack. Is philosophy, and Chris has he's gone to college, study philosophy. He reads philosophy. He breathes philosophy. He's in that. He's basically a philosophy hermit of the woods. And when I have a question about a philosopher, I come across a quote or an idea, I usually run it by Chris. I'm like, "Hey, Chris, what do you think of this guy?" So what got you into that, man?
I would say like I've always had like big questions. I don't remember how old I was, but I like came off the school bus and was like literally talking to my mom about the concept of nothing and how like if the universe didn't exist, there'd be nothing, but there'd be nothing to know that we didn't exist. My mom was just kind of looking at me like dumbfounded. I think she was just like, go play or like something. And then that got me into religion, and I would like talk to my minister about different stuff. And then it's like the more you get into religion, you get into theology, and then theology is pretty much like was philosophy for the longest period of time. Like after Plato, you have like Augustine and things of that, Aquinas, and all the philosophers trying to prove the existence of God. So I went in like that kind of phase for a while, and that led me to kind of the opposite of the spectrum, which was like I was a militant atheist for a while. And then it's like the more I got into philosophy, the more my position reversed again. And it's like the more you read and the more you try to understand, honestly, the questions just get deeper, but you just enjoy the pursuit. So I think it was just something that clicked and made sense to me. Like you, when I see somebody or I go to a party, I don't get sports. Like it's just not my thing. Like when people are like, "Oh, we're doing really good this week," and they're talking about the Jets, I'd always be like, "We?" Like I didn't know you were part of the Jets,
Right.
and then that would isolate me. So I think when you're in your head a lot or you have questions, it just leads you to these thinkers, and then it's like you read them and you're like, oh, okay, I'm not the only weirdo out there. Like these guys think this, or like everybody goes through their like Nietzschean phase and things like that. So, like you said, it just became like a respirator to me, like something that just like gave me life when I felt like I was alone or I had questions. So,
Right. Right. It's very similar to like me and my love of like literature and
mhm.
art. And I kind of want to do a quick aside. We often rag a lot on sports, and just like the fishing, I do understand the sports. You know, I do understand why people want to be part of a community, so they love the idea of cheering for the team with their friends at the bar and having a good time. And it is a way for people to get to know each other and spend time.
Hmm.
Unfortunately, it's a thing that has become completely polluted or disgraced by the commercialization of it. And
Hmm.
it it makes me not want to have anything to do with it. I think about 2 years ago, I read Christopher Lash's the culture of narcissism, and he has a chapter on sports, and he talks about how like the idea of sports is a fantastic idea towards community building. How it was your local team, and you knew the guys on the team. You knew the guys are going to go to like the nationals or whatever because you went to
Hmm.
high school with them. You went to school with them. You worked at the factory with them while they were
Hmm.
training, and they supported you, and you supported them because they're your guys from the block. Well, now sports, at least American sports on the national level, are no different than entertainment. They're $1 million contracts. People have no loyalty to the local community. The sports teams up and move all around. It's just a financial institution and it's a entertainment institution. So the idea of saying our team, that's I would say maybe 50 years ago, if somebody said, "Oh yeah, we're going to this," right? Yeah, because most of those guys on the team are from like New York, right? Or from
Hmm.
wherever you're at, right? But then
Exactly.
by today, none of those guys are from there. They're drafted and they bounce around from team to team, whether it's the NBA or NFL or whatever. And there is no more community. It's all about like gambling online and stats online
Hmm.
and watching people talk. Yeah,
Commercialization.
it's all commercial and it's kind of gross. And that's my big disinterest in it, is that it's no different than any other uh, simulacra of community.
Hmm.
It's you might as well just make friends with people playing Call of Duty or something like that. It's the same
Hmm.
shit.
No,
But
100%.
to jump back into the philosophy, I I too love reading philosophy, but I've always found it very daunting because I come from like such a literary kind of uh, background that sometimes I have a hard. I remember I picked up a copy of Thus Spoke Zarathustra when I was like in sixth grade from the local library, and I was like, "What the fuck am I reading? I have no idea." Like I think I read it, beginning to end, and I retained none of it.
Yeah.
But for the most part, I find it daunting because I find that there's a level of, and I think we've spoken about this on one of our many hikes, that there's this
Hmm.
weird kind of idea of the academic philosopher or the academic philosophy, where you study philosophy. All right, like you go to school
Hmm.
and you get a degree in philosophy, and you start with like Plato. And I remember I took a introduction to philosophy course in college at a community college a long time ago. And I was so bored by it because it was basically, it had nothing to do with like the real world. It didn't discuss anything that pertains to today. Like it focused on Plato and logic. And I understand why you must have like the understanding of logic and as a background, but it
Hmm.
doesn't, it feels so academic, you know?
Hmm.
Um, I kind of wish that like philosophy courses started at, pertinent stuff, like today's stuff, and then kind of went
Hmm.
backwards and then bounced back and forth. I think that would be a much more pleasant place. Because most people, you tell them, "Hey, do you read philosophy?" And
Hmm.
their brain just shuts off. They're like, "Where do I even start? Like, where do you start with philosophy?"
I would say that I agree with what you're saying, and that's where like a lot of my academic interest in philosophy waned because I wanted to get into it because I had big questions, like most like people do when they're in college or like freshmen and they're like 18. They want to figure out what they want to do with their life. They're in a position where they have to pick a career or something. But it's like they're more concerned with like, what do I want to do? Who am I? The big existential questions.
Right.
And it's like if you're sitting down and you're teaching me Aristotelian logic, what the heck does that have to do with these existential issues I'm facing? So I think like any good beginning philosophy course honestly would probably be at a community college as opposed to like a big university because those like intro classes will maybe start with like Plato's Apology, and it'll be Socrates defending himself and defending the philosophical life of questioning. And I think that appeals to people because like they can understand the persecution, the isolation, and like respect Socrates for living and dying by philosophy. And I think that pulls them into it as opposed to, all right, we're going to sit down and read Thomas Aquinas and prove God exists. And it's like all just pure logic. That
Right.
might be good for like a higher level class later on if you're like trying to do philosophy of language or something along that nature. But I feel like it isolates the reader or the student or the non reader of philosophy. And I think that's why another reason is why Stoicism is so popular now because it's like accessible, especially with like Ryan Holiday and all those books that come out that I have my own issues with, but not to go on a tangent.
Right. Right.
I think that resonates with people because it's addressing the questions that they have with life and giving them ways to handle it, kind of, and
Right.
allow them to continue on and then feel good that they're actually reading something. So it's like maybe take some of that formula, but expand it to other philosophical works. And that's why I like Byung-Chul Han so much, is because it's like some of his stuff is a little bit complex, but he also writes where you'll get something out of his books no matter what and not feel as isolated.
Right. And
Where,
I want to go into his stuff a little bit
mm-hmm,
later, but absolutely. And because you ask yourself a question, right? There's, I would say, like the academic philosopher or the student of philosophy would be the better term. Somebody like you, for example, who
mm-hmm,
wants to go deep into into the dark forest of philosophy and really get down to the basics, start at the beginning, understand everything through today, and formulate opinions and ideas based on that. But
mm-hmm,
then you have people like, well, not like me because I'm a little bit more like you, but you
mm-hmm,
have, I would say, normies, right, who have interest in
mm-hmm,
philosophy, but the question is, how does this apply to me? Why would I
mm-hmm,
read this, right? What is the academic purpose of like learning about a bunch of Greeks in like togas arguing on the
mm-hmm,
streets of Athens, right?
mm-hmm,
Or a bunch of Christian monks, arguing in the Middle Ages. So what it comes down to is like you have to kind of like find a way to have the academic understanding of it, but also the practical understanding of it. Like, how does this tell me how to live today? How does this
mm-hmm,
describe today? And you talk to somebody that says, "Oh, I have like," okay, so I recently was at a party, maybe, oh fuck,
mm-hmm.
my time sense is so bad. It was like a year ago now, and I say recently, but I was at a
Recent
party.
times a flat circle.
Right, time is a flat circle, right? There you go. There's philosophy right there, right? I think True Detective season one has done more for like
Oh yeah.
philosophy than anybody else. I think it's gotten more people
Oh,
into it.
100%.
But yeah, so I was at a party and there was this guy there, and I don't know, we started talking, and he mentioned, oh yeah, he's like, oh, I have a bachelor's in philosophy. So I was like, oh, cool, I can talk to this guy, right?
Mm-hmm,
And this dude was a total, just kind of, he was just brain dead. I mean,
yep.
I wanted to see like, do you like analytical philosophy or continental? That kind of stuff. He had no idea what the fuck I was talking about.
Oh my god.
Right? He had no idea who Heidegger was, and I'm like, well, what did you learn in your bachelor's of philosophy? Like
Yeah.
he's like, oh, I'm really into Plato, and I'm like, oh man, what the like that's wonderful. So you learned the history of philosophy, but like
Mm-hmm,
as much as reading Plato and Socrates and everything is interesting, um,
mm-hmm,
Heidegger is much more pertinent to today, and
mm-hmm. Oh
you
yeah.
know uh, Lacan and all the French guys that
Mm-hmm.
write books about sleeping with children. Ultimately, that's what it all boils down to when it comes to those lefty French philosophers. It's like,
I mean, you're not wrong.
how can I justify banging underage boys? You know, but
Heidegger, though, I would say would be 18-year-old students of his, but that would be the only exception.
right,
The rest
right.
are spot on.
But what shocked me is this guy went
Mm-hmm.
to a not a slouch of a school, right? And
Mm-hmm.
he has a bachelor's in philosophy. And here I am, a freaking college dropout, simpleton, and I'm shocked by the fact that he can't name one 20th century philosopher.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm like, what is the philosophy department at that school teach? Like, what's the point? What is the point of you having that bachelor's, right? What is the point of you spending time learning about stuff if at best you have a cursory like introduction to
Mm-hmm.
philosophy, so that I think that one of the things that is great about the internet, in the same way
Mm-hmm.
that the internet has allowed us to become independent writers and independent fiction writers, which is what
Mm-hmm.
really what this podcast is all about. I think that there's a really cool current of independent philosophy out on the internet. And sometimes just watching YouTube videos of people talk about philosophy is
Mm-hmm.
almost as better than, taking a community college course on philosophy. If I mean, I don't know if you agree with me on that one.
No, no, I do. I was gonna say everything you're saying is kind of spot on. It reminds me of that clip from Good Will Hunting where Will Hunting is telling the guy, like, okay, you can regurgitate all these passages from books, but like, what is your original perspective? And then it's like, he tells him you can get the same education for like $1.50 in late charges at the library. But it's like now you have people uploading $200 philosophy books on the internet for people to read as like an underground movement for free. And you have people who are working blue collar jobs 40 hours a week and then listening to philosophy podcasts, listen to podcasts like yours, and trying to tackle these bigger questions and issues because they feel dissatisfied with life. And then if you take a community college philosophy class, you might be taking it because you're like, okay, I'm interested in it. Or like, let's say you take the philosophy degree. At that point, you're almost like you were saying before, like a historian of philosophy or a philosophologist, as Robert Bresson calls it, like somebody who studies philosophers
Right.
because it's like they don't want to hear your opinion. They want you to read the entire canon first, which is impossible. And then, secondly, the people who are taking the time to like do those 3 hour long podcasts or YouTube videos, it's like those people are putting their own time, energy into it. They're dedicated and it's like they want to learn. They're doing it on their own dime as opposed to like school where it's like, oh, I got to go to college so I can stay on my dad's health insurance
Right.
or I have to go to college because that's what I'm told to do. But it's like when you're buying obscure philosophy lecture classes or courses by Heidegger online and reading them and then like spending your free time doing that, I feel like that person has a fire under their ass for a reason and they're going to get a lot more out of it than, say, somebody who read all of Plato's complete works for college just to put whatever their leftist professor wanted them to have. All my papers that I would always get the highest grades on were when I literally regurgitated the professor back to himself or herself. They'd underline it and be like, this is brilliant. And it's like, no critical thinking involved, even though they think they are. And it just made me feel more isolated. I honestly took a break from philosophy after getting my bachelor's and joined the Navy. And I just was so disgusted with it because it's like we weren't we weren't really engaged in philosophical thought. And anytime you tried to raise questions or bring up a concept, if it didn't fit the curriculum or it didn't fit the lecture for that day, it it wasn't relevant. And what makes me sad is not to hijack the podcast, but like I went back to school, the GI Bill, and like I'm older now, I'm 36, and the students are probably between like 18 and like 22 for the most part. And I would just bring up like a concept or a question I had in class, And the classmates would be like, "Hey, I actually like wanted to hear more about that, but the professor like wouldn't go into it." And it's like the kids want to learn if their curiosity is sparked, but the way the system is orchestrated, it stifles that creativity and learning just because it doesn't fit into the syllabus or whatever test it's going to be on or whatever structure or lesson plan that professor or institution has, unfortunately.
Right. And I think there's a very interesting parallel between, the study of philosophy and I would say fiction writing.
Mm-hmm.
Interestingly enough, my previous guest here, who is an editor for Pile and Press, the founder and editor of Pile and Press, he got his bachelor's in philosophy, many many years ago. So there's a lot of cross cultural pollination, and I think you could say that one of the my favorite philosophers would be Dostoevsky, even though he's not known as a philosopher, but his existentialism is, I don't know, foundational in my opinion.
Oh
And then
yeah.
so many philosophers also, wrote fiction. Um,
Mm-hmm.
but I always think that like, you have the academic writing programs, the academic MFA programs, and you have these people that go from high school to college to MFA, and they don't live at all. There is nothing that these people can say that's interesting because their entire worldview is writing fiction. And they end up writing fiction about writing fiction or going to college. And there's nothing interesting because they're not people, if that makes sense, And
Mm-hmm.
you see the same stuff of, in I think the philosophy world where you have these people that just, I got a PhD in philosophy. Well, cool. What did you do? Nothing,
Mm-hmm.
right? You went
Yeah.
to school, right? You just read and regurgitated. What are you telling me that's new? You know,
Mm-hmm.
what's a fresh idea? How does this pertain to today? Like, how does it pertain to me? Because philosophy is, uh, you know, I guess the definition would be the love of wisdom or the study of wisdom or something like that. I don't know off the top
Mm-hmm.
of my head. I think
Mm-hmm.
it's love because philo means love
Yep, you're right. Love
yeah,
of wisdom, philosophia.
right. But ultimately, right, these guys on YouTube, and you said it so well. These guys on YouTube, they're probably like a mechanic or some, I don't know, fucking, office desk writer,
Mm-hmm.
but they're spending their time discussing this stuff, coming up with their own ideas, their own interpretations, and having an online community doing what we're doing right now, really. And that is
Mm-hmm.
so much more valuable, in my opinion, than standing in, sitting in some class with a bunch of people that don't want to be there and they're just taking a class
Mm-hmm.
because it's a credit, towards them becoming a nurse or something like that. And it's it's so interesting that we live in this world right now because ultimately, what is the point of these philosophers, right? They were trying to teach people how to live and identify the world, right, and make a change.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and somewhere along the line, that got lost. I guess the continental Marxist guys basically took over the programs, and it became just that. So it is what it is, right?
Yeah. No, and I think that's why it's important to have like this type of forum and the internet is allowing like a breakthrough of creativity. And what you were saying too, I just wanted to address about writers and philosophy. I was gonna say like there's a meme where it's like people who read philosophy and they look like all nice and like the Chad and like all handsome and beautiful. And then it's like people who write philosophy and they're all like cracked out, drinking like a monster and like smoking cigarettes. And it's like the university teaches people who are like radicals or people who shook things up, like Socrates, Jesus, like even Foucault and other people. And it's like they tell you like their ideas, all this other stuff. But if you emulate them, they'll be like, get the fuck out. But if you write works and it becomes successful, then in 20 years, they'll be like, oh, this guy was brilliant or this girl was brilliant. But it's at the time though, it's like we don't want that here. It doesn't fit into our curriculum.
Right.
And
Can
I
you
think it
stop with that thinking? Can you
mhm,
stop with that thinking, bro? Just stop thinking, okay? Just tell me what I've told you, repeat it back in an essay.
100%.
Yeah, sorry to interrupt. I just
Oh, you're good. I thought you were adding a comment, but it took me
no,
a
no,
second.
no, no. Yeah, keep
So,
going, keep going.
yeah. But no, you're absolutely correct. It's just it doesn't fit into the budget or it doesn't fit into the thing. I mean, you're talking about, okay, you have a PhD in philosophy. I'm sure you're very smart. It took a lot of effort in studying, but it's like, what are you adding? You're writing another essay on Heidegger's fundamental ontology. How are you taking that and contributing to it to address deeper into the problem or deeper into what it is to be human, deeper into what it is to have beings at all, as opposed to you're taking like it's very smart. You're like looking at it, you're explaining a concept, and maybe you're making it 2% sharper for people. But it's like to bring back Foucault, it's like you need to be an archaeologist here if you're going to do that. If you're going to read those texts and get something out of it, you need to modernize it in a sense where it's like you're bringing something forth from the reading.
Right.
It's like if you,
That
yeah,
applies to today. That applies to the concerns of your average man living in, 2024.
100%, as opposed to just like, hey, look how smart I am. I can explain Schelling or Hegel to you. And it's like, okay, cool. So can 97 other commentaries that disagree with each other. But at least they're doing it to teach Schelling or Hegel to people because they want you to be the next Hegel, or they want you to be the next person who lives their thought in a way that's original and creative and authentic.
Right.
So,
Absolutely. So I remember one day we were hiking. I think it was Santa Barbara Trail or something like that. When we went up and we could see the ocean, I remember that
okay.
specifically, right? And we were joking about how if some of these philosophers and writers of the 19th century lived today, like somebody like Dostoevsky, the guy was slated to be executed by the Tsar for treason. He got pardoned at the last minute. Spent years in Siberia. Was a he I think he had an epilepsy. He would have seizures. He was a addicted gambler and alcoholic and just a mess, and he managed to write some of the greatest novels of all time. You got Nietzsche, who himself was a giant mess of a person, and
Mm-hmm.
almost all these guys were
Oh
just a
yeah,
mess. And we always we were joking along, what if they lived today? Would they say that our lives are easy compared to theirs, or our lives were harder? And I think we came to the shocking conclusion that they would probably have a hard time living in our time.
100%.
Well, could you imagine Dostoevsky living to? I don't think he'd write anything. He would just be addicted to video games and online pornography.
Vaping, just
You know what I
fucking.
mean? Right?
He's a Dostoevsky the gooner.
He would just be a total gooner. Because because he'd
Yeah,
have everything he needed. Why would he write? Because he was trying to write to make money to support himself and his wife at that time. Why would he even write? When he can just goon all day on like online
he
gambling.
needs Siberia in a way. He
Right,
needs
exactly. He needed
as fucked up
Siberia.
as it sounds.
And that's what we all need. We need Siberia. And at least
Mhm.
I think we yearn for
Oh yeah,
Siberia, right?
oh yeah.
Like,
And oh, sorry, when you don't have adversity, real quick, it's like you either create new problems of your own that are like lame in a sense,
right, right,
or it's just like that numb escapism where it's like, okay, I'm just gonna jerk off all day because I don't have anything better to do and it'll keep my mind busy, as opposed to like real adversary, where I'm gonna pay $18,000 to go to a pretend boot camp on the internet where spec ops guys yell at me because I can't join the real military.
right. And then even the real military sucks.
Oh yeah,
It's like we live in a world that is easy. It's too easy, and there's no adversity. And because of the lack of adversity, and look, there is adversity, all right? There's, fucking, missiles dropped by drones in Ukraine right now, and there's all the shit in Gaza. And I'm sure there's one or two genocides happening somewhere in Africa, Southeast Asia at any given time. But for us, I'm talking about Western Americans and Europeans, we live in a world of leisure. And it's a stifling leisure that makes us makes us crazy. It's exhausting, and that's why when I came across Byung-Chul Han, God, I can never say it. Han,
I
right? How do you say his name?
think it's Byung-Chul Han, but I
Yeah,
just call him
yeah. We'll go Han. Um, that's where I was like, oh, there we go. This is the guy. This is what I'm talking about. Like I read the Burnout Society this week, and I was like, holy shit, this is the conversation me and Chris had on our hikes.
him.
Everything he says in that book is something that we, independently came up on our own, maybe not as eloquently put as he put it, but I was like, this is it. Like this is a philosopher that does speak to the 21st century. I mean,
Hmm.
like he's not Nick Land here, all right? So there's no Fang Numina and
The machine is unconscious.
machine consciousness, right? And I love Nick Land, okay? Like he actually replied to like something I wrote on Twitter a while back. Um, but yeah, Han like really captures he captured kind of the boredom and the burnout of today.
Mm.
And I'm like, he put into words. And for listeners, Byung-Chul Han, he writes. He's a Korean born philosopher that moved to Germany, and I believe he all his writing is in German. He's kind of a reclusive guy, from what I gather, reading stuff about him online. And he's a Catholic, but he doesn't really talk about his Catholicism very much. But he writes. He has a series of books out that are pretty thin. I would say, like the key to his entire philosophy is the Burnout Society. I think that's kind of like it's the least interesting book, and you were right when you said that.
Oh yeah.
But I think it's critical to read before you read any of his other stuff because it kind of has the thesis. It's more like an introductory thesis to his overall ideas, but it's worth reading. It's like 50 pages, and you can order it on Amazon and get it on a Kindle. But
It's super
his
cheap on Kindle too right now, I
right,
think.
super cheap, right? And then I right away I read the Burnout Society, and I ordered like four more books, and I got them right away, and I'm going through them right now because I felt like I'm like, okay, I like this guy. I like the ways he thinks. Um, it's very much in the same vein as Mark Fisher in a way,
Hmm.
but different, kind of like Baudrillard, but different.
Hmm.
I think he kind of takes off from where those guys left off. But
Hmm.
for people not familiar with his writing, the Burnout Society, kind of his his big thesis is that the 21st century is defined by mental illness and depression, right? Not so much the idea of the infection or the outsider that defined the world up until now. The 20th century was a era of stopping the outsider, stopping the different. The problems of the 21st century, according to him, are internal. They're mental illnesses or neuronical illnesses because we live in a culture of positivity. So we are not fighting the outsider, the bacteria, the virus. We're fighting ourselves. A positive kind of affirmation, and it's an interesting kind of concept because he talks about the idea of the disciplinary society, and the
Hmm.
disciplinary society is what it's really what like Foucault and all those guys were kind of railing against, right? The society of forbidding something, the society of negativity, as in the society of shall not. Like you shall not do this. I shall not do this. I shall not be gay. I shall not be, blah blah, right? Um, and I think culture was defined by the shall not for such a long time until really mid post war period, or I would say maybe the 70s, where we became a culture of can, right? Can do, will do, and everything is permitted. And the entire vocabulary of everything we do has switched from a shall not to a can. So even when you see a politician speak, they don't talk about what we should not do or what we shall not do. It's always about, oh, we have an affirmative plan for this thing, or we have a,
Yes, we can.
yes, we can, or, we have a committee that's going to come up with a decisive plan to do this. So it's everything about addition and adding and more and more and more. And that that concept, according to Han, is that it leads to a creative depression and a fatigue, right? And it gives us this we have the inability to say no to anything because of the experiences. And he says that, and this is something I
I'll be
almost,
back in 2 seconds.
all right, keep going, and I'll wait for you.
I'm still listening if you want
Oh,
to put my
okay.
headphones on. I'll be right back. My bad, dude.
No worries, man. I want to make sure that you don't miss anything, so we don't come all lost.
Sorry, I killed a Celsius and fucking like a 20-ounce green tea. So
I
it like
drank
hit
like
me.
I feel like, man, I drank like 7 cups of coffee today, so
I
I'm
was like, everything you were saying was good, so I didn't want to interrupt you. And then I was like, all right,
oh,
I'm
you
about
know,
to piss
fucking
myself.
all right. No, I'll edit this silent part out.
Okay,
All right.
sounds good.
Yeah, so like I was saying, right, that kind of like the theory of Han in Burnout Society is that this excess of positivity, this excess of constant need, it turned us into, it didn't liberate us, right? In the same way, a slave and a master are a disciplinary setup, right? The slave breaks free or does something wrong, the master punishes him. So it's all about punishment. But we live in a society where we've become our own master and our own slave at the same time because we're constantly punishing ourselves like, oh, should I stay later at work? I need to achieve. I need to achieve. It's always a constant level of like, we're always taking our cell phones with us, answering emails, we're always trying to be productive. We're obsessed with, productivity and efficiency, and we punish ourselves. We're our own managers in a way. And that's led to a society of just burnout, of people just not giving a fuck about anything anymore because it's so exhausting, but not in a good way. It's exhausting in a emotional way where we just don't, we just can't live. And that's no way to live. And that's what he says is the main problem with 21st century society. What do you think about that stuff, man?
Oh, I agree. I was saying when you were talking about the master slave too, it's very I don't know if you're aware of it, but you were pretty much spitting Hegel at that moment too. So I was like, I'm like this dude's spitting straight bars, as the kids say. But no, I agree. I think the main thing I did like a quick exegetical reading of this with my friend yesterday who's in nursing,
Mhm.
and it really spoke to him how it was going from the medical terms to how now it's like not necessarily like the outsider that's getting us, like you were saying, where it's like, okay, I disappointed the master. It's I'm not productive enough, or you know, it reminds me of I think Han is writing sometimes too, which annoys some leftists I've noticed because it's like somebody from Silicon Valley reading this is going to be like, this describes my life. Like I'm constantly trying to make another million this quarter, or I'm trying to add an addition onto my house because my neighbors have it. Or it's like I'm failing my wife, I'm failing my kids because they don't have this, or that.
Right.
And it leads to that like cracked out ADHD behavior. It leads to depression, where it's that as much as it's a cliche that depression is anger turned inwards, it's that anger at oneself for not producing enough. It's very egocentric now, where it's like the onus is on us, where it's the thou shall isn't coming from the priest or the church, it's coming from us, where it's like thou shalt work harder, thou shalt take thy cell phone on vacation and respond to emails because then I'm not going to get promoted, then I'm a piece of shit. And
Right.
it's we're in that achievement society where you're pretty much a failure if you are not constantly providing, or you're not constantly just proving your worth in a sense. And it's like coming from you and I both coming from the military too. That's a big thing in that
Oh,
culture.
right. It's become a completely corporate kind of like driven
Mm-hmm.
society, and it's rough. And it's exactly that. Like, I was thinking in a, you know, obviously I'm not advocating for slaves or anything like that, right?
Hmm.
But in a serfdom type of culture, if you're a serf, your owner, your master, the landlord, whoever tells you, hey, dig those fucking holes, and that's your job. You're going to be planting and
Hmm.
hoeing and running these fields, and you're going to wake up at the break of dawn, and you're going to work until dark, and that's it. And while it might be exhausting physical work, you're
Hmm.
still done for the day.
Hmm.
You're done for the day. The boss does not come to your bedroom. All right. You know what I mean?
And you
But
don't fill out reports about how many holes you dug that day and like have to do a pie chart showing how you're going to do an extra 10 next quarter.
right, right. And the boss tells you what to do, tells you how many holes to dig. You're gonna dig them, and then at the end of the night, you're gonna roll your exhausted, fatigued ass into bed, and you're gonna sleep good for a few hours until you're back up at knocking out the holes. Until you
Hmm.
die. But at least you know what the fuck you're doing. All right. In our world, you become your own boss. You become your own taskmaster, but you don't even know what holes to dig.
Hmm.
So you're not even sure. So you have the anxiety of like, am I even digging the holes right? Is there, I don't know, am I? And then you go back exhausted to your room because you fucked around a bit digging half the holes, and the boss comes back with you because it's you. And you
Hmm.
spend the entire time in bed, not exhausted, not positively fatigued, but mentally fatigued because you're not sure if you even did the right hole digging in the right spot or if it's going to yield anything. And
Hmm.
that I think that's the problem, of like the modern world is like you see it in even like entertainment stuff or like working out. You see that in like the fitness industry. It's constant. You have charts and you gotta take the right supplements and you gotta blah blah blah. And are you hustling?
Hmm.
Are you an Instagram fitness influencer? If you're gonna work out, you might as well be that. And it's so disgusting, and I fucking
You
hate it.
took a selfie and you didn't put 10 Instagrams to try to get another sponsor. Now your kids are going to starve.
Right.
And
Now
it's
kids are gonna
like, I
starve.
can't take 2 seconds just to like breathe. No, you're somebody else is getting the edge on you.
Right. I think I recently started getting into gardening. I know you've seen my pictures, and
Mm.
I want to do it completely independent of any like online world or anything like that because I don't want to have people telling me what the ideal way of watering your fucking
Hmm.
tomatoes is going to be, or like
Yeah.
your my vines that I bought. And it's like not everything has to be a achievement. Not everything has to be a
Hmm.
constant drive for financial or monetary success. I have a coworker, and like I said, I don't want to dox myself and say where I
Hmm.
work. Uh,
Hmm.
but we do share a past military past, and now that's behind us. But what's going on is that like so anyways, I work with a younger guy, and a lot of these guys always come up to me for dating advice and everything. And he was telling me about his Tinder situations and stuff. And a lot of times when these guys ask me this stuff, they go, oh, but I'm looking for a girl, I want to settle down, but I want also a girl that like has drive and wants to achieve. And I always ask
Hmm.
them, achieve what?
Hmm.
What is she achieving? What is the purpose of life? Right?
Hmm.
Is she going to achieve what? Getting a degree in something so she can work and be gone the whole time?
Yeah, then you're going to be miserable because you're not getting the validation of like being a husband or having that intimacy together.
Right. And that's the
And then,
question is like, and I never get the answer is like, well, what do you mean by achieve something? You know, what the real answer should be, I want a partner, a wife, or, whatever, um, that I enjoy spending time with, that makes me
hmm.
happy, that takes care of me, and I take care of her. That's really the answer. Because
Hmm.
what's the point of achieving like endless, like,
You're going to
stuff?
die regardless.
Right. I want somebody I can sit down in my backyard and watch my tomatoes grow while reading
Mm.
philosophy books. Right. That's
100%.
what matters. And I think Han speaks about this in his books about the idea of profound boredom.
Mm.
Right. We live in a world where we're constantly trying to achieve, even in our fun.
Hmm.
Right.
Oh yeah, like when he talks about breaks. and vacations, how it's like you can't even enjoy them because you're thinking about the emails you have to return to, or you just
Right.
have that like borderline Catholic guilt where it's like, I need to be working, I don't have time to be on vacation,
Or
and
you
you can't even decompress because you're not present in the vacation.
right, and your vacation has to be the best vacation ever, and it has to be better than the other people's vacations because you have to Instagram your, your food and
Oh
the
yeah,
scenery, or
TikTok.
you got to
Oh yeah.
TikTok it, right? So it's got to be better than everybody else. So you got to make sure, you don't miss out. Yeah, it's just gross. It's just such a fucked up world we live in right now. Um, but yeah, like that, I think people should really just enjoy being bored, should
Mm-hmm.
enjoy a long read, should enjoy a slow movie. That's why I like
Mm-hmm.
Tarkovsky, right?
In Saving Beauty, I was reading that one as well by Han. He was talking about the problem of like the selfie and pornography. And he was saying that like pornography is like in your face, selfies are in your face, it's almost pornographic. And he was saying that art is different because it's like slow, you have to reflect. And when you brought up Tarkovsky, that's what I was thinking of in my head as like a rebuttal. And I think Han would agree that Tarkovsky would be separate than like a Marvel movie, like not to just shit on Marvel movies.
I shit on Marvel movies.
But
I haven't
yeah,
seen any of them, so it's okay.
but I feel like it's just easy. But it's
Right.
like a lot of movies now are just in your face, or it's like Sydney Sweeney's two personalities are just staring at you the entire movie to the point where it's disgusting. And it's like, not to crap on her,
Hey,
but it's
you
like
better
Tarkovsky.
you better leave Cindy out
Yeah.
of this one,
Oh,
okay?
apology.
All right, that's our
She's a
that's our
lovely
girl right
person.
there. All right.
But I'm saying, like, you have a Tarkovsky movie where it's just long shots. Solaris, there's a scene where you watch this like miniature movie thing where it just shows this like cosmic ocean that has like a giant baby. It's really trippy.
Right.
And it's literally a 10-minute taxi cab ride where you just see the guy's face. And it's like that movie you couldn't make today because
Oh,
people wouldn't be able to just sit there for the 10 minutes and process because that's what that shot's for. So you can sit there and you can think about what occurred. I think it was the Art of Dark Pod was talking about that. And it's like they're literally talking about Han's philosophy probably without even realizing it because it's like contemplation and like taking the time to sit with what happened, to let your unconscious work,
right.
to not have immediacy is what makes life enjoyable. It's what makes life profound and worthwhile, as opposed to like, there's a difference why like even hustlers and people be like, don't marry somebody you had a one night stand with versus like somebody who you've waited and like worked harder to woo and like got to know. So it's like we already have an idea of this, but we just don't live it, or we're just too bored. Like one of my friends told me they were trying to read the Burnout Society and they said they just can't get into it, that it's too boring. And I'm like, I get it. I was like, I struggle with it sometimes too, but I'm like, if you take the time to just sit there and try to read and force yourself, after a while it clicks, and the boredom and the hard work of it actually leads to the reward. And I think that's what you were saying too. So I
Right.
agree with that.
Yeah, the satisfied reward. And that that's so interesting that you brought up Solaris because I actually recently watched it like 2 weeks ago,
Oh hell
and
yeah.
I loved it. And I've never seen it before. The other Tarkovsky movies, all films because it's fancy, right? The
Oh
other
yeah, yeah.
Tarkovsky
Apologies.
can't call it movies. There, it's a film, right?
It's
Um,
something.
the other one I watched was what the fuck's it called? Stalker.
Nostalgia.
Yeah,
Oh, okay.
I still haven't seen the Rublev, and
You
I
need
do want to see
to. They
that
kill
one.
a horse in it, so I mean,
I know that's what I
you have
hear.
to.
Kill a real horse in
It's
it,
fucked up.
right? And they build the bell.
Yeah.
They
Spoiler.
spoiler alert: there's a bell involved in it in Eastern Europe. But Stalker was another one that was fantastic, and it's
Brilliant.
like just these slow kind of like um, contemplative. like scenes where they just stare at the they just stare at the fucking landscape of that toxic waste dump that they're living in that
Yeah.
ended up killing
I
all
want to go
the.
there so bad.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it killed all the actors. I think it actually
Yeah.
killed Tarkovsky because they're
Oh
like
yeah.
slamming around in the sludge. Um, but yeah, what I think we do, we have a lack of boredom. Like
Hmm.
we don't know how to be bored anymore, and which is horrible because we pull out our cell phones and we're constantly looking at them. Um, and I'm actually reading another Han book right now, which
Hmm.
is Non Things, and it talks about the digital thing. And I'm sure you haven't probably not listened to all my past episodes of the podcast, but one of the
Hmm.
big things I've been going on and on about is the whole AI thing, right?
Hmm.
And a lot of people, when they talk about the AI art issue, they tend to focus on a kind of a Marxist element of it, as in like the AI is a commodity that's going to take over a production, like the artist production. So it's very almost a Marxist or capitalist kind of concern when it comes to AI art. And I don't really care about that. I don't care if artists don't have jobs. Fuck them. I don't give a shit, right? Um,
I'm kind of with you, as fucked up as it sounds. I just want real art to exist to pretty much dignify human existence and showcase being and the sacred. But
right. Like, so I don't care if somebody's not going to get paid to draw furry porn and because now like somebody can get it all AI. What I really care about AI art is that it's ugly and gross and
yeah.
it's a non thing. All right.
Hmm.
It is a piece of digital data that has no meaning. And our
Hmm.
world has become more and more and more and more subsumed by a complete lack of meaning.
Hmm.
And what we don't need is we don't need a shit ton more digital crap on us.
Hmm.
All right. That's my fear of the AI is that
It's just hollow.
it's hollow. And, when growing up and we always talked about the computer singularity and oh, that's a garage door opening or something.
I thought it was the thought police coming after
It is the
me.
thought police
Or
coming after
it's
me.
it's because I insulted Sydney Sweetney.
Oh, you know what? If you, I will drive. I will fly back to California, bro. If you talk about Sydney again, all right. I'm gonna leave her out of it.
That's
Um.
true. Apologies.
Anyways, where was I before my house exploded?
Hollowness of AI art and
Right.
not the
So
Marxist.
when you think about it, right, it's that we live in a world where everything is just fake, constant fakeness. And
Mm,
the AI art, first of all, it's ugly. It looks cheap. It's tacky. It's gross. And what you're going to see it used as is like right now you see the Chinese like video game spam,
hmm.
just constant like here buy our fucking mobile game phone. Sorry, my rockets are firing again. I think that's actually my so my office is above our garage, and I think she just pulled
Hmm.
out of the garage.
Okay.
Um,
Oh, good. Honestly, it was giving a cool ambiance to what you were saying.
right, I'm
Like
sitting
kind
here
of
and
like a
like
robotic.
my Tesla rocket is taken off and like fucking. But yeah, like, do you want more of that ugly shit everywhere? Like that's the problem. We don't need uglier stuff. We don't need, we don't need any of this stuff. And to a certain degree, if you look at the 20th century, everything, the idea of progress, right? There's a lot of technology that is very progressive and it helped us out a lot. I mean, both my grandmas are still alive, and they were
Mhm.
born and lived in an era where there was no television, right? It didn't exist. There was no, obviously no cell phones. We were born in that era too. But they lived in an era where there wasn't, international flights, right? That was all
Hmm.
new to them. And that has opened up the world for all of us. And cheap cars has allowed us to travel across the country and, across continents. Cheap planes have allowed us to, go traveling around the world for like reasonable, affordable, like way. So there's technology that it positively changed the world. But I feel like sometime in the 2000s, maybe like when we were coming of age, everything
Hmm.
kind of turned to shit for some reason, to where the new technology didn't become better, it just became lamer.
Well, Heidegger and his work on technology, the question concerning technology, was talking about how it's like a lot of people thought he hated technology, and he's like, I'm not against technology. Like technology can be good, but he was talking about how we like turn things into like a standing reserve, or we turn things into like what can it produce or be used for, and it's like having international flights is awesome so you can like go visit your grandmother and things like that, and like cancer research and like pacemakers. Like technology isn't a bad thing in and of itself.
Right.
And I think your issue and then like Heidegger and my own issue is just the fact that it's diluting being. It's taking us away from what's authentic. And it's like art and technology, if used properly, can help us come to terms with the big questions, can help us come to terms with ourselves, with life. And it's like right now we're using technology to have this conversation while you're in South Carolina and I'm in California. And it's like we couldn't have done that 100 years ago.
Yeah, we couldn't have done this
So it's
20
like,
years
yeah,
ago.
yeah. So it's not evil per se. It's just like you said, like it's becoming. It's not even like some of technology is still that like standing reserve. So it's like how can we use it? But now it's even morphing into like an even uglier third thing where it's just that like hollow waste that is just filling up space with the same to distract us from how terrible everything is and to just keep us like we're like okay, maybe if I buy this new phone it'll make me feel better about my life because I'll be able to take more photos, I can upload them faster, get my business out there, be more productive, or I can do this, I can do that, or now I can use AI art to do all my stuff and it'll save me money and time. And it's like, what are you doing with that time?
Right.
Nothing.
Right. Working more.
Mm-hmm.
Technology was supposed to liberate us, right?
Mm-hmm.
To make life easier, right? Like a good example is like fucking a dishwasher, right? The dishwasher was supposed to make life easier by washing your dishes, right? Well, my dishwasher does not wash my dishes well, so I have to pre-rinse them. So I'm wasting just as much time. Might as well just do the damn dishes myself. And then you know what it sucks at? Drying. So now I gotta hand dry
Mm-hmm.
them when I take them out of the dishwasher. So why the hell am I using a dishwasher in the first place if it sucks at washing and it sucks at
Mm-hmm.
drying when I could just use a towel, a sink and a
Mm-hmm.
towel, which is technology that is 1,000 years old, right?
Mm-hmm.
Um, and we live in this world where like the progressive inventors of our technology, the Silicon Valley guys, they're
Mm-hmm.
constantly bringing us stuff that is just stupid.
Mm-hmm.
We talk about like, oh, the technology of the AI, of the singularity, and you imagine Skynet and all kinds of cool stuff. Which look, I will take Skynet and I'll take Terminator stomping on my skull for indefinitely
Mm-hmm.
versus what we have today, which is just stupidity, right? Which is what
Mm-hmm.
the fucking Apple goggles that are just retarded.
Mm-hmm.
Like wouldn't be caught dead walking around with those in my
Well,
face.
think about the fact too to bring back like the BDC of like pornography and things like that, where it's like you have kids who are getting like erectile dysfunction at like 22 because they're like popping Viagra and other stuff because they're so overstimulated from like having multiple screens of like pornography, AI porn, like you can have voices of like celebrities talk to you, and it's like at this point real women or real men, like depending on what you're into, aren't enough for you anymore
Right.
because it's like you could have your virtual Scarlett Johansson or whatever do and say whatever you want while also having an owl fucking head or whatever, you know what I mean? And
Like
it's
a furry Al Scarlett
yeah,
Johansson.
yeah. And not even the cool one from under the Silver Lake. Like
Right, just a really crappy
yeah,
one.
yeah. It just it's destroying. Like Han talks about how it's destroying the real in a
Right.
sense, and it's we're so divorced from that now. And sometimes sameness isn't bad because it's like sometimes I'll load up like a video game like Skyrim or something, because it gives me that illusion of like a sacred place and I know what to expect. But it's like when all the art's the same, all the movies are the same, and it's like you're so overstimulated now from the same that you're trying to push the difference, and that's leading to such insane like furry pornography or whatever. I'm not trying to kink shame people, but it's like I'm sure people were into some weird stuff back in the day, but it's like you need to outsource like your orgasm now, or you need to outsource your relationship to
Right.
where it's like what is real and biological or what is like sacred and the slow burn is not enough for you now, unfortunately. It's like
Right.
everybody's cracked out.
Well, and that's because I think, look, I think that the whole, it's about, it's about the object, right?
Mm-hmm.
We have gone from needing objects that are solid, right? Like items
Mm-hmm.
that are solid. You buy a chair that's solid and, your grandpa owned it and you put it in your house, or a house that's solid. Everything we deal with now is digital and transient, from, our digital books on our Kindles to our movies being completely digital and no longer even having the DVDs or the CDs to actually like
Mm-hmm.
enjoy any of this stuff. You don't, you don't touch anything, right? The closest,
Menus.
right, the closest thing that we touch is the screens of our phones. That's the thing that we touch the most, right? Which is a flat black rectangle. All right,
Mm-hmm.
our world has become defined by a flat black rectangle that's smooth.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Mm-hmm.
when the world of the past was defined by objects and actually owning things. And I think because that so much of what we do as entertainment, or what we intake, the information, is digital information, we have moved on to a world where we need experience. That's what we crave, constant experience. So it's
Mm-hmm.
no longer about doing something for gain or for like actual material, like tangibility. It's all about experience. And you see that in the whole travel thing, the whole travel obsession that like
Mm-hmm.
TikTok girls have, like, oh, we're going to go travel,
Oh
right?
yeah.
And it's not really about the destination or the travel itself. It's about telling people that you travel.
Oh yeah.
It's kind of like taking a hit of like a experience.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that does lead to like the desire for more novel experiences, where like, you know what, the stuff that was novel 5 years ago, now I need the owl furry porn,
Mm-hmm.
and
Exactly.
God, whatever like new extreme thing people need, and like I'm gonna turn myself into a woman and all this crazy
Mm-hmm.
stuff,
Yeah.
it's because it's all about the experience, and this like experience that is separated from tangible bodies, which is something that is
Mm-hmm.
wild when you think about it, because we live in a world where there's us living in today in my room in my house, but then there's also the internet version of us, and so many of us are
Yeah.
completely on the internet,
Mm-hmm.
which is wild. um what we talked a little bit about this. What do you think, what's another philosopher that you like, 20th century?
Um, I I would say like a popular like someone who's popular now that I have a love hate relationship with, I would say would be like Zizek, just because he's so enmeshed in like Hegel and Lacan that I feel like he pushes away his audience a little bit. Like I bought his book, Freedom: A Disease Without a Cure, because it was marketed like on the dust jacket as like a Heideggerian and Kierkegaardian interpretation. Yeah, that was the first essay, which was like 10 pages. And then it was just like all over the place about like Marx's critique. So it's kind of hard to recommend books to people now, I feel like, or at least like modern philosophers, because it's like they're having this like private conversation with each other that I feel alienates their audience. So I'd say like besides Han, I would probably recommend that like people maybe dive into like even non-philosophers, like somebody like Walter Benjamin wouldn't be bad, or like Hannah Arendt's a philosopher, I would say, like maybe something like The Human Condition. But the problem is when you pick up those books too, it may seem very foreign. or like antiquated, and it's
Mm,
like you almost have to let it sit with you, go back and read it, and you'll see how it like still resonates today. Because I noticed like a lot of Hans references are like Walter Benjamin, Hannah Arendt, and things like that. And like when you first read them, you might be a little confused. Like, how is somebody who's writing about like totalitarianism or just writing about like Aristotle and the act of life, how does that fit into the world today? But it actually kind of hits the nail on the head because people don't really change per se. It's just the way we interact with the world and technology and the speed of it changes, I feel like. It's like
right.
people always dealt with escapism. Like everybody now, like you were saying, is trying to, let's say, have sex change operations or gender reassignment surgery or dye their hair or whatever. It's like, okay, people wanted to be edgy back in the day. It was like, let me do an interracial relationship, or I'm gonna be gay, or instead of that, I'm gonna be a Marxist, or I'm gonna be a Heideggerian. It's like it's just changing the way you do that now. But I would
Right.
say honestly, the best bet, like philosophy recommendation wise, is I would say kind of like with like Carl Jung, some of the best books maybe to start out with commentaries by other thinkers, just because it like helps you get the lay of the land of what the philosopher is saying. So like some books about Heidegger might not be a bad idea, or maybe like a commentary on Nietzsche. There's
Right.
a how to read series where it's literally like how to read Heidegger, how to read Nietzsche, and I like those because they're short, like Hans books, and the chapter will start out with like a page and a half of the actual thinker, so like Nietzsche, Heidegger, Jung, whomever, and then it'll just be an essay interpreting it. So it kind of like teaches you how to read them.
Okay.
So
That's
that would be
fascinating stuff.
probably a good recommendation. Sorry, I felt like I kind of sandwiched that into a bunch of stuff. That's
No, I
what
mean no,
happens when
because
you ask.
that's a lot of there's a lot of people that are very interested in philosophy or would like to get into reading philosophy, but it is daunting, you know.
Mm-hmm.
You pick up I don't know, being in time and you're like, fuck, this is heavy,
Yeah.
you know,
Oh, yeah.
like
100%.
I don't have the classical education that they had back then, you know. I
Mm-hmm.
don't have the knowledge of ancient Greek uh,
Mm-hmm.
plays and stuff that are referencing some of this stuff. And
Oh,
I
yeah.
also like we're even 100 years or so separated from the early modern
Mm-hmm.
philosophers, right? Like we don't live in a post-communist, post-World War II world anymore.
Mm-hmm.
Even like we don't live in Camus' world anymore. And some of the stuff that he talks about is difficult too, you know?
Yeah, and the problem is too, like people say they love those guys, but all they do is read like snippets of the myth of Sisyphus, and it's like Camus wrote a bunch more than that. And that's where I will say real quick, maybe start with literature as well, because at least that, like a book like Solenoid or something, is asking those big questions,
Right.
but it's kind of closer to where you are today, or like Kafka or something that's timeless. But no, I absolutely agree. Sorry to interrupt. What you
No,
were
and
saying
that's actually
spot
that's
on.
wonderful that you said that because it is sometimes sometimes coming to philosophy from a literature place
Mm-hmm.
is the better normie way to approach it because literature tends to be more practical and more
Mm-hmm.
emotional as opposed to the more analytical kind of philosophy that you get from reading a straight nonfiction bit of philosophy.
Mm-hmm.
And you're right. I mean, you mentioned my favorite book for the last
Oh
few
yeah,
years,
so
Solenoid,
same.
right? Like if you're listening to this and you haven't read Solenoid, you're wrong.
Yeah.
Okay,
Turn off the podcast and
turn it
listen
off.
to it.
Go pick it
We're not
up.
even mad. Yeah.
Yeah, you know what? If you haven't read Solenoid, why are you listening to me?
Yeah.
Because like I don't like you. You know, it's just one of the best novels out there. And then also, if you really want to understand me and Chris, you got to read
Yeah.
the Savage Detectives there. So
Oh yeah, that's true.
because I'm
That's
an infrarealist for life, bro. All right.
same.
Um, but yeah, you have to approach it, and I think this disconnect between deep thinking or just thinking about issues or questioning is lost on so much modern literature and modern film. We live in a Funko Pop world, unfortunately,
Mm,
and it's
it's
it,
true.
it's sad. And how do we change that? Like that's the thing, right? Like it's great to go on and on and on and on about how how everything is fake and a simulacra,
Hmm.
and how we live in a burnout society. But the question is, the one I care about is, okay, so what?
Hmm.
What do we do? What's
Yeah,
next?
what can I do now?
Right? Like, and that's the tough question. That's the question that nobody answers.
Hmm.
What
They
can we
flirt
do?
with, but
Right, right. They flirt with, like, what can I do? I can't escape it. I can't go out into the woods and
hmm.
live like the Unabomber, like Ted Kaczynski out there, fucking
It's true.
sending online screeds and stuff. I I don't know what to do. Right? How do we
Hmm.
approach that? And I think the answer, or at least maybe my answer, is that we can try to live a more boring life in a way, right?
Hmm.
And
Like the watch the tomatoes and kind of
right,
like
right,
take back your time by like picking up a book or like
right,
writing just for fun.
exactly. Even little things like one of the best things I've done personally myself is I've got rid of my cell phone upstairs, right? I made this
Hmm.
rule for myself that my cell phone does not follow me upstairs ever. So I do not use my cell phone as an alarm clock, which I used to use my cell phone as an alarm clock, and I would catch myself checking my email and my Instagram and crap in the
Yep.
middle of the night. And
Yep.
now at the end of the day, when I get home from work, I take my cell phone, I plug it in, and I don't touch it until the next morning.
Hmm.
And I bought a old fashioned like analog clock, and I want to like divest myself of as much digital noise as possible.
Hmm.
I have a mechanical watch. I don't have an iWatch or whatever, because to me the idea, I see people at work that have those iPhone watches or whatever, the Apple
Hmm.
watches, and I'm like, oh, cool, man, you're reading your text messages on your wrist. That fuck, it sounds like a nightmare,
Yeah,
right? Like,
honestly.
right? Like, why would I want to do that? Like, what's the benefit of me doing that? Like, I don't even want to read text messages, period, let alone, I don't have voice. I have not had voicemail set up on my phone in a decade. It just rings forever if you call me. And people
Hmm.
always go, your voicemail doesn't work. You need to fix that. I'm like, no, 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 no. It
No,
works.
it's
I
doing
fixed it.
exactly what I wanted to
Yeah.
do.
I don't ever want to listen to your stupid fucking voice, leaving me a message because it's not important. Nothing you have to say is important, dude.
And but years ago, like I remember my parents, where it's like if somebody calls during dinner time, you don't pick up the phone. You know
Right.
what I mean? Or it's like let the machine get it. And today, it's almost like we think just because we have access to people 24/7 that we should have access to people 24/7. And it's like, no, you're not a doctor on call. And I'm trying to like learn that about myself. It's like some people think they have like unfiltered access to you. And it's like just by taking that time to allow yourself that boredom or that detachment can let you have what like Han talks about, like time to contemplate,
Right.
time to really sit and appreciate beauty and other things like that in the boredom, because otherwise you're just going to be cracked out all the time trying to get that X fix, the dopamine,
Right.
and you're not satisfied because we're all buying. There's reasons why the Daily Stoic is like a bestseller, or like Robert Greene's 48 Laws of Power and stuff, because everybody's searching for like a quick fix or a way to sort of
Like break
figure out
away.
why they're
Right.
burnt out. Exactly,
Right.
100%.
Right. And you
Even why Andrew Tate is popular,
well,
prime example.
absolutely, like because it's an experience that's different.
Hmm.
You mentioned it earlier. You used the word pornographic, and
Hmm.
I think Han talks about how the cell phone, Instagram, that kind of thing is ultimately the selfie is a pornographic element where
Hmm.
we expose ourselves for the entertainment of others or for the dopamine of others. We expose our our day-to-day activities, and we've basically turned everything we do into a reality TV show. And we're
Hmm.
constantly online, and we're constantly, you know, allowing access to each other in a
Hmm.
very pornographic way when you really think about it. And you're right. I
Hmm.
think that we need to shut. I think we need to shut that down. Like I said, I do not let anybody in my house like bring a cell phone to like dinner.
Hmm.
I make it a point that when I go out to a restaurant, I usually leave my cell phone in the car.
Hmm.
And it's something. It's minor, but it does have a long term effect because you
And
can.
it's praxis. It's
Right,
something that you can do today, as opposed to like it's going to take you a long time to read the Burnout Society, even though it's short, or like Heidegger, Hegel, whatever. And it's good to do that, but it's like if you read it and you don't do anything, you're masturbating.
right,
But if you put the cell phone in the car while you have dinner, or you're talking to your wife, that's going to pay dividends in your relationship, in your life, in the now.
right. And it sounds so stupid because something as easy as leaving your cell phone behind is really hard. It's really hard
Mm.
today, right? And you know what? It's not Siberia, all right?
Mm-hmm.
It's not
It's
Dostoevsky's
true.
Siberia, right?
Mm-hmm.
But fuck, I want to see that guy deal with today's world.
He fucking like we were saying before, like Kierkegaard freaked out because the printing press was a thing. Imagine him seeing Twitter, TikTok, book talk, and it's like
Right,
he said like some quote along the lines that like people demand freedom of speech when they don't even have freedom of thought, and it's like anybody can say anything, and that's a problem with like complete anonymity and think that their opinion matters. And
right.
it's like,
Most people don't even have thought, period, let
exactly,
alone freedom
exactly.
of thought.
It's just regurgitating the big other or whatever else they heard or talking point. And it's like we all do it to some degree because it's like you do need small talk and you can't just talk about Kierkegaard all day. But
Ah,
I
we can,
think
we
like
can, we can.
that's true. We could, but I don't think other people could. But Nietzsche freaked out on a horse. Somebody like beating a horse. Imagine him if he saw somebody fucking blocking about. I saw a girl post a vlog about her ADHD diagnosis and how it changed her world. And it's like, one, the DSM-5, I have my own issues with it because like everything is. It's like, do you have ADHD or you just cracked out from being an Instagram thought all day? And then it's like, he would have a fucking his mind would explode if he saw somebody just doing a video diary about that and like he had like fake contacts in and just a simulacrum of it and I just like my head wanted to I had to turn it off because I was getting like visibly angry and I was like okay I'm like that's enough internet for today but it's like they would lose their fucking minds in my opinion.
Right. No, exactly. Exactly. So there we go. We need to pat ourselves on the back because we are
Yeah,
living through this age of the
that's,
21st century,
that's
which is
true.
rougher than the gulag in
Yeah.
Siberia.
That's
Fuck
our
you,
Siberia.
Dostoevsky. Okay. Ooh, I gamble. Shut up. Get on Instagram. Shit
That's
post on X. Okay. All right. But it's funny because you're right. It's like some of the stuff you come across on the internet is just like insane. The whole TikTok thing. I feel like an old geezer when I look at that stuff. But
same.
you're like you'll have people that will spend all day just like swiping through these 5-second videos, and I'm like, that cannot be a healthy way to live
No.
through life. It,
No.
it
And
has
it sucks you in too. The problem it's like I'm 36 years old. I like to think of myself as having some discipline. And I'll like be in the bathroom and I'll like check a text or like an Instagram notification. And then it's like I swipe by accident and it's like 20 minutes goes by and I hated every single video I looked at and it just
right.
made me
But you still
angry.
did. You still I do the same
Yeah,
thing,
because it's
right?
like hate porn.
Right.
And
Like
it's like,
I'll hop
uh,
on like Instagram just to look at pictures that like either you post or my wife or
yeah,
whatever. And then 45 minutes later I just spent, the entire time looking at some dude like finding bugs in Florida and
yeah.
like weird stuff from Thailand and just I'm like what the fuck did I just
Yeah.
do? Like I
Mm-hmm.
lost an hour that I could have been reading or I don't know, just staring at the wall would have been much more
Would
value.
have been better for you. You would have
Right.
decompressed about some other stuff and not filled your fucking mind with God knows what. It's like
With trash.
this stuff we're consuming isn't just passive. Like it's literally changing our brain structure. Like somebody was saying, I was listening to a podcast or something, and it was like people who like Twitch stream all day are literally having to see chiropractors because they're getting like indentations on their skull just from like having the headsets on so long. And I'm just like, just the Ted Kaczynski in me is just like the cabin is building itself, and it's like it's not all bad when you literally have microplastics in fetus. It's not that divorced from Instagram reels. I don't care how conspiracy theory I sound, but it just shows how we're consuming it with our eyes. It's in our bodies. You have to take a cleanse somehow, or you have to reclaim your body, your soul, and
Yeah,
your
we
mind.
just we can't go on forever like this
No,
at all. It's
no,
something has to give, and that's why I tend to be on the opposite side of techno futurist because
yeah,
I don't want your shit anymore. Okay,
no. I
I
don't
want
want the Fang Numina coming after me.
yeah, I want it to go away. I just want to grow my tomatoes without
Mhm.
microplastics in them, which is impossible thanks to you fuckers.
Exactly. So
You
I
know,
like the closest thing I can get to like 99% fucking microplastic free or whatever. That's why I laugh when people buy organic produce because I'm like, there's no such thing anymore. None of it, like Atlantic Sound, none of it is. It all has radiation. It all has like, sure, it's like slightly healthier than like clone stuff, but it's just like
you know,
we have to pause and just. It's like you and I can't dismantle the entire system ourselves. And if you try to, you turn into Ted Kaczynski and then you become a terrorist and it doesn't do anything and you become a meme, which he would hate.
right,
It's like you growing your tomatoes without having the big other telling you how you're doing it wrong or you need to do this or to get the validation points is literally the best way of reclaiming your own agency and your own sanity. And then it becomes a model for your daughter. It becomes maybe your neighbor will see it and be like, I'm going to grow some fucking tomatoes or I'm going to grow some radishes now. And then you start trading produce and it makes you feel like you're connecting as opposed to just talking about sports,
right,
you
right,
know?
right. And ultimately, I was thinking of the desert, right? The desert,
Mm-hmm.
and thinking of the Christian desert fathers. They went
Mm-hmm.
out into the desert to be away from everything, to live a life
Mm-hmm.
of privation, of complete and total disconnect from the world. And that's like, I mean, Jesus did that. He went out for 40 days out into the
Mm-hmm.
desert. And thinking about that part of the Bible where Jesus is out in the desert and Satan comes and
Mm-hmm.
offers him the world. Well, we live in the desert of the world. We live in the
Mm-hmm.
world where Satan has given us everything.
Mm-hmm.
Every fucked up thing is within reach, you
Mm-hmm.
know, to the point where
Instantaneously.
every perversion imaginable I can pollute my mind with right now if
Mm-hmm.
I wanted to. I
Mm-hmm.
can look down on my desk, pick up my phone or turn on the laptop and I can see the most heinous things that would be considered just unimaginable in previous ages. And
Mm-hmm.
there is no desert. We don't have this desert anymore. We can't even go there if we wanted to. Um, and that's rough. That's rough when you think about it.
Mm-hmm. No, 100%. And it's like you need to have the willpower of literally a god to deny that omnipotence in a sense.
Right.
Because it's like at any point of boredom, oh, or you're reading or you're doing something, it's like literally being an alcoholic and being surrounded by hard liquor all day. And it's like you could just there's ways to try to minimize it, like you were saying, like keep your cell phone downstairs. But you can also run downstairs and pick it up at any point. It's good to set up barriers,
Right.
but it's so difficult. And it's like if somebody our age is having trouble with this, imagine like a 18-year-old kid who grew up with this shit.
Right.
It's like they don't have the mentors, they don't have the figures, and that's why like maybe they wander into Barnes and Noble. And it's like, do we have the right media for them to consume or the proper role models? Probably not. So it's like write your fucking burnout societies if you can, and grow your fucking tomatoes if you can. That's all I can think that you can do is just
Right.
be authentic with people around you and minimize what you consume.
Right.
And that's
And maybe somebody will listen to your podcast and go, "Hey,
yeah,
maybe I should leave my phone downstairs because I'm
exactly.
swimming in a I'm an alcoholic swimming in a pool of margaritas."
Exactly.
Right?
100%.
Now, hey, completely off topic now. We've talked about the deep stuff. Have you been
Mhm.
watching anything new? Any good new shows?
I'm trying to think. I've been watching Outer Range, which I think I was telling you, just because it's like very eerie. It's not perfect, and I have my issues with it, but I just like that it's trying to be different. And I'm a sucker for cowboy hats
Okay.
because
Yeah.
it's like you've seen my like fucking Mountain Man hat. It's like I love
Yeah, yeah.
flannels and stuff like that.
Yeah,
I
you,
hate like fake country shit though, where it's like Luke Bryan and like people who just pose in front of tractors, but it's like anything that's kind of like Taylor Sheridan, Mayor of Kingstown X. So that's coming out in June, so I'm excited about that. And then the only other thing I've been watching is I started rewatching The Newsroom,
okay, I've
which
never seen that
came
one.
out a long time ago. It's Aaron Sorkin. I have my issues with it. It was famous for that, like, why America isn't the greatest country in the world speech
Oh yeah, I remember
with
that.
Jeff Daniels.
Yeah.
And I just like it because of the story structure of it and the fact that it was trying to make the news look like it could be changed and become better. And then it even gets into like the conspiracy weeds because it's like Jeff Daniels is trying to like go after the money that's like involved in politics. And he's like attacking the Tea Party in the show. And I'm not going to get political or anything like that, but the show has this like made up like group called the Koch brothers, unless they are real. I don't know. And like the studios, like you can't go after them. They're going to shut us down. And it's like I liked that the newsroom was getting involved in that, but then I'm also like, is this a Mark Fisher esque? Like it's doing the protest for us, so we're self aware and we think that this isn't happening or that there's protests. You know what I mean?
Right. And that's probably what it
So
is. It's
yeah,
probably
so
it's just a
then it makes me
simulacra.
angry. So it's like, but it's like I want to fucking watch something.
Right.
So it's hard. So just that. What about you?
Did you watch the latest season of True Detective?
No, I heard it was my friend likes it, but I
Oh,
rewatched season one and I rewatched season three. So I'm just
yeah. This season 4, it's not even the same show. It was
yeah.
insulting garbage. It was
Yeah.
probably it was one of the worst things I've ever watched on TV. And
I'm already depressed, so I don't know
yeah,
how much more I can
it
take.
actually like depressed me. I think after watching the first episode, my wife looked over and she's like, "What the fuck was that garbage?"
Yeah.
And I was like, "Oh, let's give it another try." And we gave it another try
Yeah.
a week later, and we just gave up. We're like, "No, I can't do." You know,
And it's taking something you love. That's what
yeah,
upsets me with it.
that's the
Like,
part. You know, like I finally felt like all those guys that like hate Star Wars and stuff now because of whatever
yeah,
you know.
exactly.
And I never really cared about Star Wars or superheroes or any of that, but now
No,
it
you
came
get where
after
they're
True
coming
Detective.
from though, because it
Yeah, I
was
get it
like
now.
it was their thing, and it's like everybody needs a thing,
Right.
and it's just I don't know. It's like there's nothing safe, and it's like True Detective season one was perfect. Not to get into a whole True Detective thing, but it was like Matthew McConaughey is a Christian, and he played like a perfect pessimistic atheist philosopher.
Right.
And it's like Woody Harrelson is an atheist, and he played and it's their chemistry, the story structure, and it just mended so perfectly. And there's a couple shows that like you were saying, like The Mayor of Kingstown is really good, and it's like got that darkness. I used to watch Yellowstone until it got kind of zany.
I've never watched any of that.
You probably like it because it's by the same guy who does the Mayor of Kingstown, and he
Is
did From Hell to High Water. I don't know if
Oh,
you've ever
okay.
seen that.
I,
That's a
I
good
I
movie.
have seen that one.
Yeah.
That's the one where they like robbed the bank or something like that.
Yep. Chris Pine.
Chris Pine, yeah. I like that one actually. That
I,
was like
I do too.
it had a No Country for Old Men kind of vibe. I think it took place in the
Exactly.
same
That's what I
area.
like about him. He's got that like Cormac McCarthy, like I'm gonna write about how fucked up reality is. I don't even have to turn it into a even though I do like surrealist stuff,
Hmm.
I respect the realism and like the pessimism. Wind River, he did that too. If you want to
I
be sad,
Yeah, that's the one with the guys up in the woods and the native girl or something like
yeah,
that, right? Yeah.
goes missing. Yeah, it's fucked up, but it's like I watched that movie when I was at the Grand Canyon by myself in like 17 degrees, killing a bottle of whiskey, and I was like, this is the most depressed I've ever been. But it's a good movie.
Yeah, I liked it. It was one of the recent ones. Usually I try to catch all the movies that go up for the Academy Award and everything. And this year I have not followed any of them. I have no desire, like I have like no desire to see oh my God, what's the atomic bomb one?
Mad Max.
No, 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 the one with
Oh,
the guy that with Cillian Murphy. It's the big one that
oh, Oppenheimer.
Oppenheimer. Yeah, there we go, Oppenheimer.
Yeah,
It just looks too boring to me. I
I
like.
watched it. It was okay. It's hyped up, I think, though, because it's like people are so sick of Marvel that something like that seems like a Tarkovsky film to them,
Right.
as
I think
pretentious as that sounds.
no, absolutely. And I want to see Poor Things. I haven't seen that one because everybody that's watched that one likes it. Um,
Oh, okay, yeah, I know what you're talking about. Yeah, I haven't seen that either.
that seems to be one that
It's like they want you to watch it so you can like feel good about yourself for being part of it. And I think that's like the cynic in us is
right,
just like I still have hipster tendencies, and this is one of them where it's like, oh, you're watching House of Dragon. Well, I'm not gonna watch it
right.
till later now
That's how
because
I am too. It's like, oh,
yeah,
that's stupid, you know. I did watch The Anatomy of a Fall, which
is
was
that good? That sounds familiar.
so it was one of the movies that was up for Best Picture, and I think she won Best Actress if I remember correct. No, I think the what's her name won Best Actress. But either way, it was about it's this like French, German, English movie. It's like
Hmm.
a very European movie, and it's kind of like about this woman who's a writer, and her husband falls off this balcony, and she might have killed him, she might have not.
Hmm.
Uh, there's a lot of like, it's all about domestic
Hmm.
achievement, and her husband was a writer, and he was kind of jealous of her because she was a writer and she was having an affair. It's a very interesting movie. It's very slow, very,
Hmm.
very European. It's a
It
film.
sounds good.
I enjoyed it, but I can see why people didn't.
The the best movie I watched, I think you also were talking about. I'm probably going to pronounce it wrong. The Banshees of
Oh, Banshee in Sharon.
yeah,
I really
yeah.
like that one.
I love that. I was watching it at work, and the one dude who used to be in the army is like 28, and he was watching with me. And then this girl who's like 24, and we had to turn it off because the 24-year-old girl was just she didn't get it, and she was just bored to tears. And it's like, I wanted to be like, if you give it like another 20 minutes, I promise you it'll catch you. Cause that's when like he started cutting off like his fingers and stuff.
Right.
But it's like she just couldn't appreciate the like slow. And she's an intelligent person. It's just not her thing, I guess. But that was probably the best movie I've seen in a long time.
Right. I mean, I've watched The Great Beauty like 7 times in the
Mm.
last year, which is probably one of my favorite movies. Also slow, and people go, "What's your favorite movie?" I'm like, I don't know. It's you won't like it.
I
Like
gotta.
you're
Oh, I love Stanley Tucci.
right.
I have to watch that. I've
But
never seen it.
I also like what was the one now? I'm always telling people to watch the Beneath the Silver Lake.
Yeah, under
Under the
Silver Lake.
Silver
I
Lake,
love
yeah.
that movie.
It's one of my favorite movies because it's so true. It's all real, man.
Yeah, it's a
All right,
fucking gay
trust me.
vampire.
I'm from Los Angeles. All right. The homeless king of LA is real. All right. He's in one of those bunkers. You know,
That's
you know what I've actually been really into. and you're
What's
probably
that?
gonna laugh about it. The new Billie Eilish album.
No, I listened to. So the only issue I have with that is I saw her Rolling Stone interview, and it made me want to fucking off myself.
I have not seen
Like
that.
her
Which
music's good. She talks about. I'm not kidding. Like I don't know the direct quote, but she talks about. She's like out of nowhere with no provocation. She's just like, "Oh yeah, I masturbate in front of a mirror. Makes me feel good about myself. Everybody should jerk off." And that's the whole interview. And I'm just like, you're fucking jerking off the writer right now. Like,
right, right. It's actually funny because I once you said that, I actually realized that I was listening to Red Scare and
yeah.
Dasha was making fun of that
Hmm.
same exact line. But she dropped the new album. I think
Her
last
music's good though. She's
okay,
very
so
talented.
last Friday the new album came out. Right, they hit me hard and soft, and it is,
Hmm.
my opinion, one of the best albums I've heard in the last 10 years.
Hmm.
Like you can actually like listen to the entire album from beginning to end, and it's near perfect in my opinion. Like, honestly, it's great, and
Hmm.
it's one of those albums that you do want to listen to like
Hmm.
straight through. And
Hmm.
I'm kind of a fan of pop music. I even listen to
Oh yeah,
like
no, I am too.
I listen to
I
a
love
lot of
Lana
like
Del Rey.
right Lana Del Ray, and I even listen to some Taylor
Excuse
Swift.
me.
And the new Taylor Swift album fucking sucks.
Yeah, no,
It
I agree.
is
But the one before that
oh,
wasn't bad.
right. She had a few good ones, and then she drops this 30, 3 hour mess where every song sounds the same, and it's just like completely dull. I tried listening to it. I was like, I'm done. I don't even like it.
Yeah,
But
no, same.
but you know the our mutual friend Alexander Helene, right?
Hmm.
He started that Substack about music, and
Hmm.
he asked me, he's like, hey, I want you to write for me also. And I said, hey, I'll do it. I absolutely want to write music reviews because I love music. I want to really kind of focus on a lot of older stuff, right? Try to get people that are new or
Hmm.
younger to listen to the stuff that I like and keep it going, right? But he one of the things he told me right away, he's like, hey, I want you, to write about some more recent stuff.
Hmm.
And I got to thinking, like, what is the 21st century artist so far? Like, which one would define kind of our world, or right now? Like, who defines, like, what's the one that really captures like the essence of the 21st century? And my first thought was that some of the best artists of so far was Amy Winehouse, right?
Hmm.
And
No,
Amy
that's I'd
Winehouse
agree
was
with that.
amazing, right? But then I started thinking about it some more, and I realized that Amy Winehouse was born in 1983. So if Amy
Oh.
Winehouse was alive, she would be turning 41, just like I
Hmm.
am, right?
Oh
And
shit.
I don't consider myself of the 21st century, to be
Yeah,
honest,
no, I
right?
get where you're coming from.
Okay. So even her music feels more like it's definitely 21st century in vibe, but stylistically it really feels like something from 1960s mod culture in England
Yeah,
more than it does, or like it could,
just the soul she has would put it into
right.
it.
It's got the soul stuff, it's got the R&B vibes, it's got that Jamaican reggae vibe in a lot of her stuff, which is something like the Specials and stuff in the 80s did. Um but so I got to think, like, is it Lana Del Rey? I mean, Lana Del Rey is also very much my age, right? I think
Hmm.
she's 38, so I don't know if she counts as really as being super 21st century. So
Hmm.
I
I was gonna.
settled.
Mhm.
Hmm?
Oh
What?
no, I was gonna say in that case, I would say it would have to be like somebody maybe younger, like fucking like Billie
Well,
Eilish or
that's
somebody.
what right, that's exactly what I settled on. I said, you know what? If there is one person that kind of defines the music scene, the popular music scene, look, and right now, I know there's somebody listening there that's like, oh, well, you never heard of this band and blah, blah, blah. They're fans.
Yeah,
Shut
it's
the
like
fuck
we're
up.
trying to talk about not your underground 100,000 listens on Spotify. We're
Right.
talking about that
The
is a
one,
household name, or even your fucking podiatrist has a Billie Eilish song on his Spotify
right,
saved.
exactly. So we're talking about mass culture here, okay? We're talking
Yeah.
about empire culture, right?
Hmm.
What's left of it. But Yeah, because you always get somebody that's like, well, this band is great, and it's some guitar
Yeah.
band, and it's like, that's great. Guitar music is dead, guys. Okay,
Yeah.
it's gone. All
You're
right,
not wrong.
all right. It's boring. It was boring in the '90s. It died with grunge, and
Yeah.
fucking deal with it. Okay, Kurt Cobain killed guitar music. Go over it.
It's true.
Um,
It's true.
but
Or Courtney Love killed
yeah,
guitar music.
fucking Courtney Love. I mean, like her first album was great. That a
Yeah.
Celebrity Skin was a fucking
Mm-hmm.
fantastic album, right? But anyways, yeah. So yeah, Billie Eilish was who I settled on, and I started writing this piece for Alex's Substack, and I'm writing it, and then I was actually looking at it at work, and one of my coworkers walks in, and she's like, "Do you know Billie Eilish dropped a new album?" And I look at my phone, and my wife's like, "Oh, there's a new Billie Eilish album out at the same time."
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, I'm gonna listen to this. I'm like, well, I got to put this piece on hold now because I was
Yeah.
talking about the old albums, and
Mm-hmm.
I listened to it on the way home, and it's wonderful. It's actually one of the best albums. And the reason
Mm-hmm.
I say that Billie Eilish is like the uh, kind of the zeitgeist of this kind of music generation is that she's got this kind of like do-it-yourself vibe. The first
Mm-hmm.
album, she was like 17 years old or something, and she recorded it with her brother in like their bedroom
Mm-hmm.
in Los Angeles. And this one has the same vibe to it. It was recorded
Mm-hmm.
in their little home studio. Obviously now they're rich, so they have a lot of money. But and she does a lot of stuff that is very unique. It combines some like hip hop elements, and it combines a lot of like 80s kind of R&B elements, and there's even like some of that some of the songs on there have that vibe of that
Mm-hmm.
techno wave stuff you get on the internet, like the soundtrack to Drive.
Mm-hmm.
You know
Well,
what
I
I'm
was
talking
gonna
about?
say I was gonna say too, like it's like Lord tried, like was doing really well and was really big, and then kind of like fell off. And it's like I was gonna say, Billie Eilish kind of like has the best of like what Lord had, and then she modeled herself too off of Lana Del Ray quite a bit,
Right,
and like
absolutely.
it's sort of like a younger Lana, and them at Coachella singing each other's song, like that sent white women fucking over the edge because like they call like Lana Del Rey mother, and like they birthed her, like the memes and stuff like that. And some of my friends say that. Even my European friends say that, like my German friend, which is funny. But it's like Billie Eilish is it's almost like she was passing that part of the torch to her. She's like, all right, I'm
Right.
gonna go do my country thing now. Like, and I think even when like Billie Eilish is like doing, even though I'm making fun of it, her masturbation interview, when Bob Dylan was fucking being interviewed by the press, and they're like, what do your parents think about your protest music?" And he's like, "What do your parents think about my protest music?" or whatever, the Times Magazine. He
Right.
was literally masturbating in that interview right to their faces in a way.
Right.
So it's like it's honestly not that much different. Maybe today it's a more sexualized, and what Bob Dylan was doing was like verbally masturbating, but it's like Billie Eilish has an image she has to sell, and that's just selling the feminine mystique.
Right.
And everybody's talking about her. It's making her more. And Lana Del Rey said her pussy tasted like Pepsi Cola. How is that any different? You know what I mean? My
That's
dad would make
true.
fun of that line all the time. So it's like, it's fun to shit on, and I will. And I think it is scary. But at the same time, I can also defend it and see the
Yeah.
sense of it.
No, absolutely, absolutely. And I love Lana Del Rey,
Yeah. The
and
same.
I wish it was
And
Diet Pepsi
Pepsi.
Cola.
Yeah, me too.
Diet Pepsi Cola, guys. Okay,
Yeah,
or
me
maybe
too.
Mountain Dew. She did have a Mountain Dew song, right? And what actually kind of irritates me about, well, not that doesn't irritate me because I love Lana Del Rey,
Mhm.
but I grew up in Long Beach, California, and she's got that song. Did you know there's a tunnel underneath Ocean
Yeah,
Boulevard? Right?
yeah.
Yes, bitch. I know there's a tunnel under Ocean Boulevard because I grew up there. Everybody in Long Beach knows that.
That's hilarious.
Like
It's
I'm
like
like,
if I started acting like I was from California just because
right.
I've been here for so long.
Fucking well, she's one of your people, a New
Yeah.
Yorker,
Yep.
right? Coming into
Yep.
my state, telling me about my own
Well, it's
tunnel.
like you got Brooklyn Baby and like fucking ultra violence. It's
Right.
like
But you know what?
It's probably just her PR person. It's like you're gonna be
No,
LA fucking.
we don't talk ill about Lana Del Rey. Okay,
That's true.
she's on the list. Okay, she
The
is the
Lana Del Rey police will
yeah.
fucking
This
shoot
is
her
this
down.
is a Lana Del Rey appreciation podcast. All right, I have
I,
all her albums on vinyl. All right.
I found out that I had her blocked on Instagram by accident, and I think I was drunk once and I blocked her because like I kept seeing her like music everywhere, and it was driving me crazy because I like Lana, but I was in like one of those like hipster moods. And my friend sent me a DM, and I was like, I can't see it. She's like, what? I was like, I can't see it. And she's like, did Lana Del Rey block you? And then it turned out I blocked her, but I was like, that would have been fucking hilarious.
That would be awesome. I think she deleted all her social media.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I think she was getting some crap maybe
Mm,
a year or two ago, and I know she deleted her Twitter and all that stuff.
okay.
And she like moved off of the social media world. So she's basically growing tomatoes, and
Oh, hell yeah.
she's doing the thing that we should be doing.
She
We
was
should
like
probably,
shaking her ass or twerking with some girl too that everybody's giving her shit for. And it's like,
yeah, I mean, people are just
let her have fun. Like, who
people
gives
on
a
the internet. Yeah,
shit?
people on the internet are miserable
Just
assholes.
haters.
All
Yeah,
right,
that's
like
true.
just
And
comment.
I'm a miserable asshole.
Yeah, and that's rough. Because, exactly because I am just a resting fucking hater
Yeah.
constantly. Like I hate everything. You know, I wake
Hmm.
up in the morning filled with bile and hatred, but I can't even compare it to like some of the normie hatred towards like
Yeah,
basic shit.
that's
You know, it's
true.
like, how could you hate Lana Del Rey, bro?
Yeah.
Like, fuck off.
If she's not your thing too, like my dad didn't really like her music back in the day, and now like she's grown on him a little bit. But my dad like wasn't sitting there fucking like talking shit about Lana Del Rey. Like he just was like, she's not my cup of tea.
Right. But
I'll be
yeah,
back in 1 second. My package just got delivered.
Amazon, huh?
Yeah, I get. We have a bunch of homeless people around here now, so I gotta be careful.
I'm leaving this in the podcast, okay? Because where Chris lives, there's porch pirates, and porch pirates are the worst people on the face of the planet. They're up there with people that talk shit on Lana Del Rey and Sydney Sweeney.
It's actually a death threat from fucking Lana Del Rey's manager.
Oh, that's what it was.
Yeah,
It was the Sydney Sweeney fan club coming after you
yeah,
already. I've even
coming
published this,
after
and they're
me.
fucking coming after you, talking shit about Sydney
They
Sweeney.
know.
Right.
Just like a fucking, they're up wiretapped. No, I have like, there's an influx of like transients right now. And it's like, I get it. Like, they go through the trash, and it's like, if your package is up, like, one of my, I bought a book called Heidegger and the Destruction of Aristotle. And I'm pretty sure I know who stole it because, like, I started going through stuff. And I was telling my buddy about it, and he's like, bro, what if that changes their life? Like they like go back to school and become like a fucking continental philosopher who like
Right. Like,
solves the problem
yeah,
of modernity.
some bum tweaker fucking porch
Yeah,
pirate steals your Heidegger and he's sitting there in a
yeah,
dumpster fucking
yeah,
smoking fentanyl and that would just depress him more.
yeah. That's true. That's true. Or it's just me looking at my future self, came back in time to fuck with me.
Yeah, exactly. It's just you. You're like you traveled back in time as a homeless person and you're stealing your own philosophy books. You're like, fuck.
You're
Maybe
like
you're
you
trying to
canceled
help yourself
yourself.
out. You're trying to help yourself out. Like you shouldn't be reading this shit, bro. Like it's too, like
That's true.
goddamn, some fucking homeless bum stole my copy of Fang Numina, and now he's out there fucking entering the fifth dimension, and you know that shit
I wish.
should be protected. Anyways, Chris, man, we've been talking for like almost
Oh
three
yeah,
hours.
it's been a minute, dude. It
We
reminds
should,
me of our hike stuff.
yeah, we should do this again. I'm sure people are
I'm
going to
down.
love listening to our us. Okay, so if you are listening, like, share, send me money or something like that. Do all the above. Develop a parasocial relationship with me and Chris. Okay, that's what you need to
Please.
do because I am poor and I need to be rich. Or else I'll
Same.
never get to meet Sydney Sweeney. And that's going to be a goddamn disaster and an existential crisis of immense proportions. Okay. So share, like, and comment on all the media. Okay. All right. Goodbye, Chris, and good night,
Uh,
everybody.
Take it easy. Bye bye. Thanks for having me.
For sure.